Next, we click on it to select it, and then click on the OK button to open the file. In a few moments, the Memo2 file appears in the document window. Before we start editing this memo, let's learn the basics of moving around in a document. First, let's take a quick look at the document. On the left, running vertically along the margin, is a black line. This is simply a design element that is part of the memo document. However, notice the shaded areas at the top, left, and right of the page. These shaded areas represent the page margins and will change as you adjust the size of the margins. We'll discuss this more later on. Also, notice that currently the insertion point is located just to the left of the first word of the document. To move through any document, we move the cursor to our desired position. Using the right, left, up, or down arrow keys, we can move through a document one character at a time. For example, if we press the down arrow key 6 times, the cursor or insertion point moves down 6 lines to the beginning of the body of the memo. In addition to the cursor keys, we can use the home, end, page up, and page down keys to move quickly through a document. For instance, if we now press the end key, the cursor moves to the end of the current line. Pressing the home key moves the insertion point back to the beginning of the current line. If we now press the page down key once, MicroVideo scrolls down through the document and reveals a new screen full of information. We can also use the arrow keys in combination with the control key to move around in the document. For example, if we hold down the control key and press the right arrow key, the insertion point moves one word to the right. Likewise, holding down the control key and pressing the left arrow key moves the insertion point one word to the left. If we now press Control End, the cursor moves immediately to the end of the document. Now, to quickly move back to the beginning of the document, we press Control Home, and the cursor returns to the top of the page. We can also use the mouse in conjunction with the scroll bars to move around in a document. To see how this works, let's position the mouse pointer over the down arrow at the bottom of the vertical scroll bar and click 5 times. The document scrolls to reveal the next 5 lines of the document. Notice that the small square inside the scroll bar, called the scroll box, moves down to indicate this change. To scroll back up, we position the mouse pointer on the up arrow at the top of the vertical scroll bar. And click 5 times. Again, the scroll box moves to indicate our new position. To move down one screen at a time using the mouse, we position the mouse pointer below the scroll box and click once with the left mouse button, and the next screen of information appears. Notice that the cursor is no longer visible. That's because using the scroll bars to move around in a document doesn't move the cursor, it simply changes our view. To move the insertion point onto the current screen, we move the mouse pointer anywhere on the screen and then click the left mouse button. And the cursor is anchored in the new location. Let's press Control Home to return to the top of the document. Now that we've learned the basics of moving around, let's modify this document. In MicroVideo, most editing and formatting commands are carried out in 2 steps. We first select or highlight the text we want to alter, then apply the desired attribute to the selected text. For example, if we wanted to bold a line of text, we'd select all the characters in the line, then apply the bold attribute. MicroVideo provides many methods for selecting text using either the mouse, the keyboard, or a combination of the two. First, let's explore some methods for selecting text with the keyboard, which is very similar to moving around in a document. To select text, we simply move the insertion point to the beginning of the text we wish to change. For example, to select the word many in the first line of the memo, we use the arrow keys to move the insertion point just to the left of the word many. Then hold down the Shift key and press the right arrow key once. Notice that the insertion point has been transformed into a highlight or selection that encompasses the letter M. While still holding down the Shift key, let's press the right arrow key 3 more times. And the selection extends to include the rest of the word many. With the word already highlighted, if we now hold down the Shift key and press the down arrow key, the insertion point moves down 1 line, and all of the characters that fall between the beginning and ending positions are selected. To remove the highlight or deselect the text, we press any arrow key, and the highlight disappears. To select entire words, MicroVideo provides a quick and simple way to highlight the text. For example, to select the word many again, we move the insertion point to the beginning of the word, hold down both the Control and Shift keys, and press the right arrow key, and many is selected. To quickly highlight the rest of this line, we simply hold down the Shift key and press the End key, and all of the characters from the insertion point to the end of the line are selected. If we hold down the Shift key and press Home, the area from the insertion point back to the beginning of the line is highlighted. Let's press the right arrow key now to remove the highlight. While it's easy to select any part of a document using the keyboard, the mouse is often quicker and easier to use. For example, to reselect the word many, this time with the mouse, we first position the mouse pointer to the left of the word and click the left mouse button once to anchor the insertion point. Now, we hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse to the right until the entire word is highlighted. Then release the mouse button. This process of selecting text is commonly known as clicking and dragging. We can also select a word by simply double-clicking on it. To select the word already, for example, we move the mouse pointer over the word, then double-click the left mouse button, and the word is instantly selected. Let's deselect this text by moving the mouse cursor off the highlighted word and clicking the left mouse button once to remove the highlight. We'll explore other ways to select text as we proceed through the course, but for now, since we've had a brief overview, let's edit our document. Keep in mind that selecting text gives us the ability to quickly delete, move, and copy portions of a document. For example, to delete the first paragraph in the body of the memo, we move the mouse pointer to the left of the word as in the first sentence. Hold down the left mouse button and drag the mouse cursor to the end of the paragraph. Then release the mouse button. With the text highlighted, we delete the paragraph by simply pressing the Delete key. And the paragraph is gone. Oops, I didn't really want to delete that paragraph. Fortunately, MicroVideo understands that even though computers are close to perfect, people aren't. Fortunately, we can undo our last action by accessing the Undo feature on the Edit menu. To do so, first we click on the Edit menu. Notice that the first option on this menu is the Undo command. To activate it, we click on the command name or press Enter. And we're returned to the document where the paragraph has reappeared. Let's press the right arrow key to remove the highlighting. You should be aware that not all AmiPro functions can be undone. For a complete list of commands that you may undo, please refer to your AmiPro User's Manual. In addition to the manual methods for selecting text, AmiPro also has a handy feature called Typing Replaces Selection, which allows us to delete selected text and enter new text all in one step. For example, suppose we wanted to replace the word many with some. To do so, we select the word many by double-clicking on it. Now, we begin to type the word some by pressing the letter S. Notice how the selected text has been replaced by the letter S. To continue, we type OME and a space, and the word many is replaced. Actually, the word many sounded better, so let's undo the change by pressing the shortcut key for undo, Control-Z. While we're modifying this document, let's make the headings of the memo stand out from the rest of the text. Fortunately, AmiPro has several powerful formatting features that we can use to emphasize specific words or phrases to improve the overall look of a document. For example, let's select the word to and make it larger and bold. To do so, first we select the text by clicking and dragging to select the word to and the colon after it. With the text highlighted, let's add the formatting. To alter the text, let's access the text menu by clicking on it. In the top section of the menu, there are 4 options. Font allows us to change the current font or typeface of the text, as well as its size and color. Alignment allows us to align text to the left or right margins, center it between the margins, or justify the text, which means to evenly distribute it between the left and right margins. The indentation option allows us to indent specific lines of text, while the spacing option lets us change the line spacing of the document from single to double spacing, and so on. In the middle section of the menu is a list of attributes that we can apply to selected text simply by selecting them. Below these options is the Fast Format option, which will allow us to copy formatting from one section of text to another. Let's select the Font option by clicking on it, and the Font dialog box appears. In the top left of the dialog box is the Face box, which displays a list of all the typefaces that are available for use. To the right of the Face box are the Size and Points boxes. We can use these boxes to change the size of the selected text. Below these boxes is a color bar, where we can select a different color for our text. And at the bottom of the dialog box is a sample box, which shows us how our text will look based on the selections we make. Let's make a few changes and see what happens. First, in the Face box, we click on the downward pointing arrow on the scroll bar until the font name Times New Roman appears. We select this font by clicking on it. If Times New Roman does not appear on your list, simply select another font. Notice that the text in the sample box has changed to reflect the new font. Next, to change the font size to 18 points, we move to the Points box and click on the up arrow until the number 18 appears. Again, the sample text changes to reflect our current selection. While we're at it, let's change the color of the text by clicking on the dark blue box on the color bar. To implement the changes, we select OK, and we're returned to the document. Notice that the word to is still selected. To view the changes, we press the right arrow key to deselect the text, and the text now appears in blue, 18-point, Times New Roman type. Now, let's adjust the text Sales Personnel so that it appears in 18-point Times New